According to FNB's new Central Housing Index, property prices in Windhoek have risen as much as 240% during the last year alone. The trend is similar in Okahanja, Gobabis and Windhoek. The News on One investigates. The property market in Namibia continues unregulated, and everyone from estate agents to developers are raking in huge profits at the expense of ordinary Namibians. The cumulative total that Namibians currently spend on mortgages is about $30 billion. Whereas the average Namibian spent 28% of their income on housing during the mid-90s, this figure has risen to about 50% today.
If you look over the past couple of months, the number of houses that are being built in the affordable segment have deteriorated completely. I mean, you're looking at about 12% of all new builds fall in the entry segment, and that's where about 60% of Namibians fall. So obviously we're not building enough small houses for those who find themselves towards the lower end of the income scale.
While government and the private sector are constantly complaining about slow economic growth, it is hardly a surprise that Namibians cannot invest more in businesses and other ventures, as they are spending more than what they can afford to keep a roof over their heads. Residential property prices in Windhoek increased by 90% from 2001 to 2005. House prices in Namibia in general have risen more than 100% from 1993 to 2005. Property prices continue to rise unabated in Namibia, which coincidentally is also a country that has some of the highest bank charges in the world.
People are spending more and more on housing, just basic housing, and that's taken away from other opportunities such as investments and business development. So people are being so constrained by the need to put a roof over their over their heads, that they are foregoing other things that are probably more important from a national perspective in terms of GDP growth.
The availability of more houses and land on the market would make prices more competitive. This would create more jobs in the construction industry, which would ultimately free up more capital for job creation and investment to stimulate the economy. The question remains, who will regulate this crucial sector to make home ownership a reality for the ordinary Namibian? All attempts to get feedback from the relevant ministry have thus far proved fruitless. Namibia is one of the few countries in the world where the cost of property continues to skyrocket. In fact, in the city of Windhoek alone, 3,600 houses are needed every year just to sustain population growth. With the current trend, the average Namibian simply cannot afford to buy a house. This is Edgar Brandt for the News on One.